I was ready to commit to a no pants day, then I realised I was going to be filming a video, and you can always tell from the look on someone's face whether they're wearing pants or not. Good morning everyone, welcome to Eternally Awkward. I'm Penny and today is the first video in a series that I am starting for Back to Basics, taking you through the very basic steps of makeup, explaining the when, why and how of how to do your makeup. The very first step today we're going to start with is primer. Why to prime, how to choose the right primer for you, and the different application methods that you can use to apply primer. So let's get into it. Now, the first step that I always do before applying primer is I apply a moisturizer and an SPF, because it's very important even when wearing makeup to protect your skin from the sun. So now that I have applied both of those, the next step I like to do is take a tissue and I like to peel it in half, and then I like to blot any excess product that is lying on my skin to prevent it having any interaction with the primer that I am about to apply. There are two main types of primer. One is a silicone based primer and the other is a water based primer, and more often than not you'll get a combination of the two, which is water and silicone based primer. Now, a water based primer tends to look like this. It tends to be quite runny, white in colour. Now, a silicone based primer looks like this. It's clear, it's very thick, and well, yeah, it ain't going anywhere. Silicone based primers tend to be pore filling and mattifying primers. Water based primers tend to have more of a moisturizing, illuminating effect. It's not always the case. You can also buy tinted primers which add a small amount of coverage as well as priming. Now, the point of a primer is to extend the wear time of your makeup, but also make it sit better on the skin and help with a lot of skin issues that you might have. How to choose the right primer for you. If you already have a foundation and you're looking for a primer to go with it, the best thing to do is look at the first two ingredients on your foundation. All ingredients are listed in volume, so the first two ingredients on your foundation are the highest volume in your foundation. So you want to choose something that is going to work well with those first two ingredients. If you use a water-based primer with a silicone-based foundation, there is a high chance of having the two separate on your skin over the day. You end up looking like a cakey mess who doesn't know how to apply their makeup correctly. And the same goes if you use a silicone primer with a water-based foundation, then separation can occur yet again. If you don't have a foundation already and you're really starting from the very beginning, choose a primer that is going to work best for your skin type, and this is the way that I would recommend going. So if you've got really oily skin like me and enlarged pores and some fine lines, look for a silicone based primer that is going to help blur pores, fine lines and mattify the skin. If you have mature skin, look for something that is moisturizing and illuminating. And then if you have dry skin, yet again, moisturizing, illuminating, and something that is going to help elongate the wear of your makeup. If you have combination skin, there are primers out there for combination skin. Personally, I would recommend using two different primers for this. If you have combination skin, and applying a mattifying primer in the oily areas and then a moisturizing primer to the normal / dry areas of your face. There's a couple of things to also know is that skincare can interact with your primer as well. So it is important to look at the ingredients on that. You don't blot off any excess, you can create separation and pilling with your primer. The ideal amount of primer to apply is about a pea-sized amount, and there are 3 main application methods that you can use. You can use a makeup brush and pick the product up and just blend that. With a water-based primer you can definitely go under the eye, but that's not something I would recommend doing with a silicone-based primer, as under the eye mattifying primers can tend to make the under eye look dry and older than it actually is, so I tend not to bring a silicone primer under my eye. But a water-based primer like that one is fine. The other option is simply taking your finger, applying some and just smoothing it into the skin very gently, just pressing it. And the final method, pick some up on a beauty sponge and bounce it into the skin, really pressing it in there so that it doesn't just sit on top of the skin. Application method is purely personal preference. I tend to not apply it with a brush simply because I find it can look streaky under the foundation. My favourite method is either fingers or sponge. I especially like using a sponge when I'm having a bit of a breakout because I like to avoid spreading bacteria with my fingers. So that ends this week's Back to Basics video. I hope that you found it helpful. If you have any further questions, please comment below and I will respond. Next week we will be tackling foundation, how to choose the right foundation for your skin type, and different application methods. So please subscribe to my channel. I'd love to have you as part of my crew, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!